Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to look at Rise of Augustus. It's for 2 to 6 players for ages 8 and up, with the average playtime being about 30 minutes. Now, this game has been referred to a lot of people as Gamer Bingo, and that's sort of the case, although I would say it's more like bingo on steroids. There's a lot more options here than with traditional bingo. So with that being said, let's go ahead and take a quick look at what came in the box and how the game is played. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly go over the components, nothing fancy. I'm also going to try and relate these to bingo terms. Here are your legions, these are meeples, and these are the equivalent of your bingo markers. As these legion types are drawn from the bag and called out by the town crier, players will be placing these legions onto these cards here, and these are the equivalent of your bingo cards. And you'll be putting these meeples onto these symbols as these particular tokens are drawn from the bag. These cards also show any rewards that might be given to the player should they complete the card, how many victory points it's worth, and so on and so forth. You've also got some victory point bonus tiles of sorts here. As players complete these bingo cards, again, I'm using bingo terms here, but as players complete these cards, or objectives as they're called in the game, you'll be able to claim these various achievements, which will grant you extra bonus points. You've also got a score pad over here. That's obvious. Players will be keeping score with that. Okay, now with regard to game setup, this is what it sort of looks like. I had to rearrange a few things so that it fit under one camera shot. The manual lists a slightly different setup configuration, but I think this will give you the idea anyway. You'll go ahead and shuffle the objective cards and deal 5 out on the table to form the available pool. Each player will get 6 of these cards from the deck, choose 3 and discard the rest. Each player will get 7 of these meeples. You'll lay out the reward cards over here. I like to call them achievement cards, but that's just me. And finally, you've got these mobilization tokens. Again, they show the different legion types that are available in the game. Okay, so at the beginning of the game, someone will become the town crier. And basically, the town crier is in charge of drawing one of these tokens from the bag and saying what it is aloud. So in this case, he went ahead and drew this, looks like a shield. So every player that's in the game will go ahead and take a look at their cards to see if they have a shield icon on any one of their cards. They'll go ahead and place one of their meeples on any of those symbols, like so. Now this will continue. The town crier will continue pulling out tokens from the bag. This is a double sword, for example. So each player will take a look at their cards and place a meeple onto a double sword. There we go. And if a player happens to draw this joker from the bag, what will happen here, the town crier role will actually move to the next person, and all of the tokens that are out of the bag will now go back into the bag. Now this is treated as a wild card. Players can go ahead and put a meeple on any symbol that they see fit. Okay, now this will continue until one player manages to completely fill an objective card. And let's just say, through some sheer amount of luck, again, I'm just doing this for example purposes. Oh, by the way, you can also move a legion. Let's say that something is drawn from the bag and you don't have any legions left. You can actually remove an legion from an existing card and put it onto a different card, so you can do that. So anyway, let's just say that this player over here managed to completely fill this card and we're good to go. So the first thing that he'll do is announce that he's completed a card. I think it's like Ave Caesar. I don't know how the Romans say it. I don't know what the pronunciation is, but you get the idea. It's Roman themed. But the player will go ahead and remove all the legions from the card. He'll go ahead and play the special ability in the upper right hand corner here. In this case, he gets to remove all legions from an objective card. So he could do it on his own, or he could do it on an opponent. So let's say he wanted to be a jerk and just take these 2 away from like that. Now the card will go ahead and be placed into the score pile over here. Every player is going to have their own separate score pile. He'll go ahead and claim a reward if he wants to claim a reward, if he can, that is. And then he'll go ahead and choose a new card from the available pool to put in front of him. Now you're probably wondering what happens whenever 2 players complete an objective card at the same time. Well, there are actually little numbers in the lower left-hand corner of these cards. Hopefully I can focus on that. There's, for example, 46. Players will resolve these cards in ascending order. So it'll start with 1 and work its way up to however many cards were in the deck. So if someone had a 23 down here, they would resolve that first, and then this card, which is 46, would resolve after that. Okay, now as far as these rewards are concerned, I'm going to go over these briefly. You've got these two yellow ones here. There's gold and wheat. Basically, these will change hands throughout the game as players get the most of that particular resource. Ties will favor whoever just got that resource. As far as this is concerned, this second vertical row here, these are the first to get rewards. A player can have as many of these as they can get. The first player to get 3 senators, for example, senators have these gray backs. The first player to get 3 of these into their score pile will get this reward and thus 2 points. This one here shows 3 green provinces. The first player to get 3 green provinces into their score pile will get this reward, and that's 4 points. And you've got a purple one and an orange one here. There's less orange and less purple in the deck, so that's why they're worth more points. And finally, you get 1 of each card type. Again, there's the senator there, and 1 of each of the 3 colors, and that is worth 6 points. So again, you can get as many of those as you want to, assuming that you fulfill these objectives. And again, these will change hands throughout the game. Finally, each player can only have 1 of these. These are basically rewards that you can claim as you get so many objective cards into your score pile. If a player has 2 objectives in their score pile, they can claim that first one for 2 points. But like I said, you can only have 1, and you cannot trade them in for 1 higher than that. So whatever you claim here is what you get for the game end score. So, like, for example, if you see that someone is close to winning and you don't think that you're going to get 6 objectives into your score pile to get 10 points, you might want to go for something smaller, like 4 objectives for 6 points, and so on and so forth. Alright, so what you're looking at here is the manual. As you can see, it's pretty large and it folds, so yeah, you're going to want to read this before playing the game. The most important part of this, I think, is this play aid. It gives you an idea as to what all of these different abilities do. For example, this is one I played in a previous example. Each opponent must immediately either remove a legion, remove 2 legions, remove all legions from an objective, remove a controlled objective, so on and so forth. You've got, for immediate effect down here, there's permanent effects down here, there's at the end of the game effects, so each space with this category on your controlled objectives earns the number of points indicated. So there's a lot of different ways that you can score points with this game or perform abilities. So you have to pay attention to the cards and what you're drawing and what you're actually completing so that you can sort of time these abilities to your advantage. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Players will continue taking turns and rounds will continue to play out until at the end of the round someone has 7 objectives in their score pile. At that point, players will go ahead and add up all of the points that they've earned from their objectives, from any rewards that they might have claimed, and any from these abilities here. And whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. Okay, and there you have it, a very brief look at Rise of Augustus. It's important to note that I did not cover all of the rules found in the manual. This was just to give you a general overview so you can see how the game is played so that you can decide whether or not to pick it up for yourself. As far as what I thought, I like it. I'm not a fan of bingo. This takes bingo to a whole new level. It's definitely not boring. I like games that are relatively easy to play but still force me to think a little bit, and that's what this game does. I also like the fact that there are a lot of choices in this game. The rewards will give you something to shoot for. Again, I call them achievements. It's just me. I'm weird. What can I say? The objective cards have these abilities on them, so that'll force you to think about how you're going to time them as far as when to complete those objectives to best, work to your advantage. Like, you might hold off on completing an objective card to use its ability because right now it wouldn't be useful, but later it might be. Also, there's some thought into the numbers that are on the bottom of the card as far as resolve order. Again, objective cards, when they're completed at the same time, will resolve themselves in ascending order. So let's say that players are tied for gold or wheat, for example, and both objective cards that were both completed on the same round will resolve themselves. Well, the first player with the lower number will get this gold here, this gold reward, but then the next player who's completed that next objective with the gold symbol on it will get this because ties will favor the person that just got that resource. So even though both players got gold and they're still tied for gold, whoever got it last will end up getting this. So there's a little bit of thought into the resolve order, the numbers on the bottom of the card. So yeah, a lot of different choices here, great game. Highly recommend it. So if you haven't already, check out my written review, www.dadsgamingaddiction.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, that way you can keep up to date on any new content I've been to publish. This is Vince, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.